The Greenvale Apartments looked like a corpse in the fading October light. I stood in the cracked parking lot with my hands in my jacket pockets, staring up at the 5-story building that had once been the center of my entire world. Now it was just bones and broken windows, wrapped in yellow caution tape and plastered with demolition notices. They were tearing it down in 3 days. "I can't believe this place is still standing," Vanessa said beside me, her camera already in her hands. She'd always been the documentarian of our group, collecting moments like other people collected stamps. "It looks worse than I remember." "That's because we haven't been back in 9 years, Owen said, climbing out of his car. He pushed his glasses up and surveyed the building with the same skeptical expression he wore for everything, and because it's been condemned for the last 5. Bridget was the last to arrive, pulling up in her small sedan just as the sun touched the horizon. She got out slowly, her eyes fixed on the upper floors. "You guys really want to go in there?" Nodded, though something in my chest tightened. One last time, for old time's sake. We'd grown up in this building, all of us on different floors, but spending every possible moment together. The hallways had been our racetrack, the stairwells our fortress, and every apartment, especially the vacant ones, our playground. We'd played every game imaginable within these walls, but hide and seek had been our favorite. The building was perfect for it, full of nooks and shadows and places adults never thought to look. "Remember the rules?" Vanessa asked as we approached the main entrance. The door hung loose on one hinge, the lock long since broken by squatters or vandals. "Stay inside the building. No going to the roof. No hiding in the elevator shaft," I recited. "And you have to be able to hear when the seeker calls time." Owen pulled the door open wider and the smell hit us immediately. Mildew and rot and something underneath that was harder to name. Decay, maybe. The death smell of a building that had been breathing its last for years. Inside, the lobby was worse than the exterior suggested. The wallpaper hung in strips, revealing water-stained drywall beneath. The floor tiles were cracked and missing in places, showing the concrete foundation. The mailboxes had been ripped open, their metal doors twisted and torn. Only the emergency exit signs still glowed, their battery backup somehow still functioning, casting everything in a sickly green light. "This is a terrible idea," Owen muttered, but he was already following us toward the stairs. We climbed to the 3rd floor, our floor, where we'd all lived. The stairwell echoed with every footstep, and I noticed Bridget walking close to the wall as if the railings might give way. They probably would. The 3rd floor hallway stretched in both directions, doors hanging open like mouths. Our old apartments were scattered along this corridor. I could still remember the exact distance between them, could still picture running from Vanessa's door to Owen's in the middle of a game. "So who's seeking first?" Bridget asked, her voice smaller than usual. They all looked at me. I'd always been the one to volunteer, the one who liked the control of being the hunter rather than the hunted. "Fine," I said, trying to sound confident. "Same as always. I'll count to 100 in the stairwell. You 3 hide anywhere on this floor or the floors above. Don't go into the basement. Those stairs looked ready to collapse." Vanessa grinned, that old competitive spark lighting her eyes. "You'll never find me, Marcus. I've had 9 years to think about the perfect spot. 60 seconds after I call time, if I haven't found you, you win," I added. Then we rotate. Owen checked his phone. "It's 7:47. We should be out of here by 10 at the latest. This place is structurally unsound, and I don't trust those emergency lights to last all night." "Always the optimist," Vanessa teased. I walked to the stairwell and faced the wall, my phone's flashlight pointing at the peeling paint. "Starting now. 1, 2, 3. I heard them scatter immediately. Vanessa's footsteps were quick and light, heading up. Owen's were heavier, moving down the hallway. Bridget's I couldn't hear at all. She'd always been the quietest of us, the best at moving without sound. 14, 15, 16. The building seemed to settle around, me creaking and groaning. Wind whistled through broken windows somewhere above. I tried to remember what the 3rd floor layout had been like. How many apartments, which ones had connecting doors, where the best hiding spots would be. 43, 44, 45. Something dripped nearby, a steady rhythm that didn't match my counting. The air smelled worse in the stairwell, more concentrated. I breathed through my mouth and kept counting. 71, 72, 73. A sound from above made me pause. Footsteps, but wrong somehow. Too deliberate, too slow. I resumed counting faster, suddenly eager to start searching, to not be alone in this stairwell anymore. 98. 99. 100. Ready or not, here I come. My voice echoed through the stairwell, bouncing off concrete walls. I waited for a response. A laugh. A taunt. Something. But the building swallowed my words and gave nothing back. I stepped into the hallway and swept my flashlight beam across the corridor. Every door gaped open except for 3 at the far end. I decided to start with the closer apartments and work my way down. The first apartment had been the Robinsons'. The door hung crooked, and I pushed it open slowly, listening. Inside, the furniture was long gone, but the walls still showed marks where pictures had hung. I checked the obvious spots: the coat closet behind the kitchen counter, the bathroom, empty. The second apartment was worse. Part of the ceiling had collapsed, and insulation hung down like gray moss. I didn't bother going deep inside. No way. Vanessa or the others would risk it. I was approaching the third apartment when I heard it. Breathing, not my own. This was coming from inside the apartment ahead of me. Steady and deep, like someone trying very hard to stay quiet. I smiled. Got one already. I crept forward, keeping my flashlight low. The door to this apartment, Mrs. Chen's old place, I remembered, was slightly ajar. I could see a slice of the living room through the gap. Nothing moved. The breathing continued. I pushed the door open fast, swinging my light around. Found you. The apartment was empty, but the breathing didn't stop. It was coming from the walls, from everywhere and nowhere. I stood frozen, my light trembling slightly. Then I realized it was just the wind moving through the broken windows, whistling through the cracks. Had to be. I forced myself to move, checking the rest of the apartment quickly. Nothing. Nobody. Back in the hallway, I noticed something that made my skin prickle. One of the doors at the far end, one that had been closed before, now stood open. I was certain it had been closed. I'd counted the closed doors 3. Now there were only 2. Guys? I called out. Vanessa? Owen? No response. I walked toward the open door, my footsteps echoing. As I got closer, I saw something that stopped me cold. Footprints in the dust. Fresh footprints leading into the apartment. But there were too many of them, more than 3 sets. And some of them were small, child-sized. My light flickered once, twice, then steadied. I swallowed hard and stepped through the doorway, into apartment 3F. The place where it all started. The place where we'd played our very first game of hide-and-seek 12 years ago. And where, I suddenly remembered with cold clarity, we'd heard footsteps that didn't belong to any of us even back then. We'd laughed it off as the building settling, but what if we'd been wrong? The apartment was colder than the hallway, which didn't make sense. I swept my flashlight across the main room, following the footprints. They scattered in different directions, some toward the bedrooms, others toward the kitchen, one set leading to the bathroom down the hall. Too many footprints. Way too many. This isn't funny, guys, I called out, but my voice came out weaker than I intended. Vanessa, Owen, Bridget. A sound came from the bathroom. A soft scraping, like fabric against tile. I moved toward it, each step deliberate. The bathroom door was closed. Another door that I could have sworn had been open moments ago. I reached for the handle and paused. Through the thin wood, I could hear breathing again. This time, I knew it wasn't the wind. I found you, I said, trying to sound playful. Come on out. The breathing stopped. I waited, my hand on the cold doorknob. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then, from behind me, from back in the hallway, I heard Vanessa's laugh. distant but unmistakable. I spun around, confused. If Vanessa was out there, then who was in the bathroom? The doorknob turned under my palm. I jerked my hand back as the door opened slowly, revealing the small bathroom. The shower curtain was drawn. Behind it, I could see the outline of someone standing in the tub. "Owen?" I whispered. "Bridget?" The figure didn't move, didn't respond. I grabbed the curtain and yanked it aside. Bridget stood in the tub, her back pressed against the tile wall, her eyes wide and glassy. She was shaking. "Jesus, Bridget, you scared the hell out of me. I found you. Come on." "Marcus," she whispered, and her voice was wrong, thin and stretched. "Marcus, how did you get here so fast?" "What do you mean?" "I've been searching for like 10 minutes. She shook her head violently. No. You were in the hallway. I saw you. You were counting." My blood went cold. "Bridget, I counted in the stairwell. I haven't been on this side of the floor yet." "You were here," she insisted, her voice rising. "I was hiding in the bedroom closet first, but then I heard you in the hallway. You were counting just like at the start. 98, 99, 100. But you were smiling, Marcus. Just standing there in the hallway, smiling at nothing. And you didn't have your flashlight. You were just standing in the dark, smiling. And then you started walking toward the bedroom where I was hiding." I felt my stomach drop. "Bridget, that wasn't me. It looked exactly like you. Same jacket, same build, everything. But when it got closer, I realized it wasn't making any sound. No footsteps, no breathing, just that smile." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "I ran in here and locked the door, but then I heard it outside, walking back and forth, and it kept counting, over and over. 98, 99, 100, 98, 99, 100. Come on." I reached for her hand. "We need to find the others and get out of here." She grabbed my wrist hard, her fingers digging in. "How do I know you're really you?" The question hung between us. I didn't have a good answer. Finally, I said, "Remember when we were 9 and you fell off your bike in the parking lot? You split, your knee open, and I carried you all the way to your apartment. Because you couldn't walk. You made me promise not to tell anyone you'd been crying." Her grip loosened slightly. "You told Vanessa anyway." "I know. I'm sorry. I was 9 and stupid." She let out a shaky breath and took my hand. We stepped out of the bathroom together, moving, back into the main room. The footprints in the dust seemed to have multiplied, crisscrossing over each other in patterns that made no sense. "Where did all these come from?" Bridget whispered. Before I could answer, we heard Owen's voice from somewhere, above us. 4th floor? Maybe 5th. "Marco!" It was part of another game we used to play, a variation on hide and seek. You'd call out Marco and the hiders had to respond with Polo. It helped if someone was taking too long to be found. "Polo." Vanessa's voice came from a different direction. 3rd floor, eastern wing. Bridget and I exchanged glances. "Polo!" we shouted together. Silence. Then Owen's voice again, but this time it was closer. Right above us. "Marco!" "Polo!" Vanessa called. She sounded closer too. We made our way to the stairwell, climbing to the 4th floor. The emergency lights here were dimmer, flickering occasionally. The hallway stretched in both directions, identical to the 3rd floor, but somehow more oppressive. More wrong. "Owen?" I called out. "Vanessa?" "In here!" Owen's voice came from an apartment halfway down the hall. We hurried toward it, our flashlights bouncing. The apartment door stood wide open. Inside, Owen was examining something on the wall, his phone's light illuminating peeling wallpaper. "Owen, we need to leave," I said. "Something's not right here." He turned around and his face was pale. "Marcus, look at this." On the wall, someone had carved words into the drywall. Recent marks, not old graffiti. The letters were crude but clear. "Ready or not." "There's more," Owen said, leading us to the bedroom. More words, carved into every wall. Here I come found you your. Turn to hide. Okay, that's it, Bridget said, backing toward the door. We're leaving right now. Vanessa appeared in the doorway, making us all jump. Guys, you have to see what I found on the 5th floor. No, Owen said firmly. We're done. This was a stupid idea. There's a room full of children's drawings, Vanessa insisted. Recent ones, like done in the past few days recent. That's not possible, I said. This building's been locked up. Then explain the drawings. They're all of the same thing. Her face was serious now, no trace of her usual playfulness. Kids playing hide and seek. And in every single one there's an extra figure. Something that doesn't look quite right. A sound echoed through the building. A door slamming somewhere below us, then another. Like dominoes falling, doors slamming one after another, getting closer. We need to move now. Owen pushed past Vanessa into the hallway. We ran for the stairwell, but when we got there, we stopped short. The stairs going down were gone. Not collapsed. Gone. Just a black empty space where they should have been. The emergency lights illuminated the landing, but beyond that was nothing but darkness. What the hell? Owen leaned over the railing carefully. His flashlight beam disappeared into the void, not reflecting off anything. The stairs were just here. We just came up them. There has to be another stairwell, Vanessa said. Eastern side. We ran down the hallway, footsteps echoing. Behind us, I heard something else running too, keeping pace. But when I looked back, the hallway was empty. The eastern stairwell was the same. Just darkness below the 4th floor landing. The stairs simply weren't there. This doesn't make sense, Owen said, his voice shaking. Stairs don't just disappear. Buildings don't work. Like this. The elevator shaft, Bridget suggested. There's an emergency ladder. We found the elevator doors and pried them open. Owen shined his light into the shaft. The ladder was there, but it was bent and twisted, clearly unusable. And at the bottom, far below, I saw something that made my breath catch. A light. Moving. Like someone with a flashlight searching. Marco! A voice called up from the darkness. My voice. But I hadn't said anything. The 3 of them looked at me in horror. Polo! Another voice answered. Owen's voice. But Owen was standing right next to me, his mouth clamped shut. From the darkness below, we heard footsteps on the ladder, climbing up. Multiple sets of footsteps all climbing toward us. We backed away from the shaft and ran. We didn't know where we were going anymore, just away. Away from the sounds, from the impossible darkness, from whatever was climbing toward us. We burst into another apartment, 5G, and slammed the door. Owen dragged a heavy dresser in front of it while Vanessa and I searched for another exit. There was a window, but when I looked out, I couldn't see the parking lot. Couldn't see anything, just darkness. The windows painted over, I realized, touching the glass. But it wasn't paint. It was like looking into deep water. Nothing but black. A knock came at the door. Gentle, polite. Then my voice, muffled through the wood. Ollie, Ollie, oxen free, come out, wherever you are. That's not me, I whispered. Another knock. Your turn to hide. The doorknob began to turn. Part 3. Hide forever. The dresser scraped across the floor as the door pushed open. We scrambled backward, our flashlights wild and useless. Owen grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the bedroom. Vanessa and Bridget were already there, frantically, trying the window. The one window that still showed the real outside world. The dark parking lot 5 stories below. It won't open, Vanessa hissed, slamming her palm against the frame. The apartment door burst open, the dresser toppling with a crash that echoed through the building. But nothing came through. The doorway just stood open, revealing the dark hallway beyond. Then we heard it. Children laughing. Multiple voices, young and bright, playing somewhere in the distance. No, Bridget whispered. No, no, no. Owen's face had gone completely white. We need to talk about something I didn't want to tell you. Now? I snapped. Whatever it is can wait until... A kid disappeared here, he said quickly, the words tumbling out. 20 years ago. I found the article last week when I was researching the demolition. I didn't mention it because I thought it would freak you out, make you not want to come. A 7-year-old named Timothy Marsh. He was playing hide and seek with his older sister in this building. She counted, he hid. She never found him. Nobody ever found him. The laughter grew louder, closer. Now it was in the hallway right outside the apartment. They searched for 3 weeks, Owen continued, his voice shaking. Tore apart every apartment, checked the walls, the pipes, everything. He was just gone. The case went cold. His sister said she heard him calling Polo for hours, moving through the building. But every time she followed the voice, he wasn't there. Vanessa's camera slipped from her hands, clattering to the floor. Owen, why the hell didn't you tell us? Because I thought it was just a sad story. I didn't think. He stopped listening. The laughter had ceased. The building had gone completely silent. Then, from right outside the bedroom door, a small voice. Ready or not? Here I come. The door swung open on its own. A child stood in the doorway. A little boy, maybe 7 or 8, wearing clothes that looked wrong, too old-fashioned, faded. His face was pale, his eyes hollow. When he smiled, it was too wide. Found you, Timothy Marsh said. We ran, shoved past him, through him, because he felt like nothing, like cold air, and into the hallway. The emergency lights were dying now, flickering faster, throwing everything into a stuttering nightmare of light and shadow. The main stairs, I shouted. They have to be back. We ran for the western stairwell, and by some miracle or curse, the stairs were there again. We thundered down them, taking steps 2 at a time. 4th floor, 3rd floor, 2nd. The landing looped. We came out on the 4th floor again. The exact same floor we'd just left. That's impossible, Vanessa breathed. We tried again. Down and down. But the stairs betrayed us, twisted us, brought us back to the 4th floor every time. On our 5th attempt, we emerged onto the 3rd floor, our floor. But it was wrong. The walls were covered in children's drawings, hundreds of them, overlapping and frantic, all showing the same thing, stick figures playing hide and seek, and one figure that was always apart from the others, always watching, always wrong. This can't be happening, Bridget was crying again, pressing her hands to her head. Buildings don't do this. This isn't real. It's been waiting, Owen said quietly, staring at the drawings. All this time, it's been waiting for someone to come back and play. A door at the end of the hallway opened. Then another. Then another. From each darkened apartment, children emerged, dozens of them, all pale, all wrong, all smiling those 2 wide smiles. They moved in unison, silent except for the whisper of their feet on the dusty floor. 100, they said together. Ready or not. We ran again, this time toward the eastern wing, toward apartments we'd never explored as children. The corridor seemed to stretch as we ran, growing longer, doors multiplying on either side. Behind us, the children followed, their footsteps perfectly synchronized. In here. Vanessa yanked open a door, apartment 3M, though I didn't remember there being an M unit on this floor. We tumbled inside, and she slammed it shut. This apartment was different, furnished, lived in. Pictures on the walls showing a family. Mother, father, young boy, the boy from the hallway. Timothy. This is his apartment, Bridget whispered. This is where he lived. The pictures showed progression. Timothy as a baby, as a toddler. Then the photos stopped at age 7. The rest of the frames on the wall were empty, just blank spaces where a life should have continued. On the coffee table lay a child's diary, open to the last entry. The handwriting was shaky, young. Today we're playing hide and seek. Jenny is counting. I found the best spot ever. Nobody will find me here. I'm going to hide forever and ever and ever. He wanted to hide forever. Owen read over my shoulder. And he did. He's still here, still hiding, still playing. A knock on the door, gentle. Then my voice again. Marco. Against my will, against every instinct, I felt my mouth opening. Polo, I heard myself say. No. Vanessa clamped her hand over my mouth, but it was too late. The door opened, and the children filed in. Timothy stood at the front, his head tilted, at an unnatural angle. "Your turn to seek," he said. The world lurched. Suddenly we were in different apartments, separated. I was alone in a dark room, facing a corner. I could hear counting behind me in my own voice. 1, 2, 3. I spun around, but nobody was there. Just darkness and that voice. My voice, counting steadily. 4, 5, 6. I ran for the door, but the hallway outside had changed, again. Now it was endless, doors stretching into infinity. I could hear Vanessa screaming somewhere far away, Owen shouting, Bridget sobbing, 23, 24, 25. I tried doors at random. Each opened into impossibility. A room full of mirrors reflecting versions of myself, all smiling. A room where the walls breathed. A room that was just the counting voice, loud and endless, filling everything. 51, 52, 53. Found stairs and climbed, or maybe descended. It was impossible to tell. The building shifted around me, rooms rearranging, hallways folding in on themselves. I caught glimpses of the others, always just out of reach. Vanessa pressed against, a window that showed nothing but darkness. Owen curled in a corner, hands over his ears. Bridget running through a corridor that looped eternally. 88, 89, 90. I burst through a door and found myself in apartment 3F again, the place where we'd started our first game 12 years ago. But now I understood. We'd never finished that game. We'd stopped playing, grown up, moved away. But the building remembered, the game remembered, and Timothy had been waiting. 98, 99, 100. The voice stopped. Silence crashed down like a weight. Ready or not, Timothy's voice echoed through every wall, every floor, every impossible space. Here I come. I heard my friends screaming, their voices mixing with the laughter of children who weren't children anymore. I ran for the main door, the entrance to the building, and by some impossible grace I found it. The door to the outside. I slammed through it and fell onto concrete, real concrete, in the parking lot. The cold night air hit my face. I gasped and looked back. The building stood silent and dark. The emergency lights were off. No movement in. The windows. It looked exactly as it had when we'd arrived. Dead, abandoned, empty. My phone buzzed. A text from Owen. "Where are you? Still looking for you guys." Then Vanessa. "Marco?" Then Bridget. "This isn't funny anymore, Marcus." I looked at the timestamps. The messages were from 10 minutes ago, during the game, before everything went wrong. Tried to call them, but the calls went straight to voicemail. All 3 of them. I ran to Owen's car. Gone. Vanessa's car. Gone. Bridget's sedan. Gone. Only my car remained in the parking lot. I drove to Owen's apartment, hammering on his door. His roommate answered, confused and annoyed. "Owen. He moved out 6 months ago. Said he was going traveling. Haven't heard from him since." Vanessa's studio apartment was being shown to new renters. The landlord said she'd broken her lease suddenly, left in the middle of the night with no forwarding address. Bridget's parents said she'd gone on a camping trip and never came back. Search and rescue had found her car near a state park, but no sign of her. All of them gone. All of them missing. I drove back to Greenvale Apartments as the sun rose. In the early morning light, I could see something I'd missed in the darkness. In one of the 5th-floor windows, 4 figures stood watching me. I raised my phone with shaking hands and zoomed in with the camera. Owen, Vanessa, Bridget, and me. All of us standing in the window, pale and still, smiling those 2 wide smiles. The figure that looked like me raised its hand and waved. My phone buzzed. A text from my own number. "Your turn to hide." The demolition crews found the building structurally sound enough to delay the teardown. Too many safety concerns, they said. Too many rooms they couldn't account for on the blueprints. Too many reports of strange sounds from the workers, children laughing, footsteps in empty hallways, voices calling Marco and Polo in the dead of night. The Greenvale Apartments still stands. The demolition has been postponed indefinitely. Sometimes late at night, if you drive past it, you can see lights moving in the windows, flashlights, searching. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear counting. Always counting. 98, 99, 100. The voice stopped. Silence crashed down like a weight. Ready or not? Timothy's voice echoed through every wall, every floor, every impossible space. Here I come. I heard my friends screaming, their voices mixing with the laughter of children, who weren't children anymore. I ran for the main door, the entrance to the building, and by some impossible grace I found it. The door to the outside. I slammed through it and fell onto concrete, real concrete, in the parking lot. The cold night air hit my face. I gasped and looked back. The building stood silent and dark. The emergency lights were off. No movement in the windows. It looked exactly as it had when we'd arrived, dead, abandoned, empty. My phone buzzed. A text from Owen. Where are you? Still looking for you guys. Then Vanessa. Marco. Then Bridget. This isn't funny anymore, Marcus. I looked at the timestamps. The messages were from 10 minutes ago, during the game, before everything went wrong. Tried to call them, but the calls went straight to voicemail. All three of them. I ran to Owen's car. Gone. Vanessa's car. Gone. Bridget's sedan. Gone. Only my car remained in the parking lot. I drove to Owen's apartment, hammering on his door. His roommate answered, confused and annoyed. Owen. He moved out 6 months ago, said he was going traveling. Haven't heard from him since. Vanessa's studio apartment was being shown to new renters. The landlord said she'd broken her lease suddenly, left in the middle of the night with no forwarding address. Bridget's parents said she'd gone on a camping trip and never came back. Search and rescue had found her car near a state park, but no sign of her. All of them gone. All of them missing. I drove back to Greenvale Apartments as the sun rose. In the early morning light, I could see something I'd missed in the darkness. In one of the 5th floor windows, 4 figures stood watching me. I raised my phone with shaking hands and zoomed in with the camera. Owen, Vanessa, Bridget, and me. All of us standing in the window, pale and still, smiling those 2 wide smiles. The figure that looked like me raised its hand and waved. My phone buzzed. A text from my own number. Your turn to hide. The demolition crews found the building structurally sound enough to delay the teardown. Too many safety concerns, they said. Too many rooms they couldn't account for on the blueprints. Too many reports of strange sounds from the workers, children laughing, footsteps in empty hallways, voices calling Marco and Polo in the dead of night. The Greenvale Apartments still stands. The demolition has been postponed indefinitely. Sometimes late at night, if you drive past it, you can see lights moving in the windows, flashlights, searching. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear counting. Always counting. 98, 99, 100. Ready or not. Here I come. The building is still playing, still waiting, still looking for new players who remember the rules. The end.